Madam Chair, we are now live.
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Ajax Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting for Wednesday, March the 24th, 2021. This meeting is being held electronically and live streamed on the internet. All staff and committee members are participating by phone or video. All regular practices and procedures of the committee continue to apply during this electronic meeting. If we encounter any technical difficulties, we may take a brief recess while they are resolved. Thank you for your patience, and we will now proceed with the meeting. Are there any conflicts of interest from committee members with any items to be discussed this evening? I will ask those who have their video off and those on the phone to unmute yourselves and indicate so for any of the motions that we that takes place, any motions that take place during the meeting.
It's Lisa, no conflict.
Ray Smith, no conflict.
Kaylee, no conflict.
Wonderful.
No conflict.
And seeing none, thank you. And if we can look for the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting dated February 17th, 2021. Do we have a motion to adopt the minutes? I see Julia's hand up. And moved by Seppeline and seconded.
I moved. So Seppeline. I moved to adopt. So Seppeline is the seconder.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. And all those in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
With all in favor, that's carried. And we will go on to the item number 4, presentations and discussion items. So item 4.1, 211 in Durham region. Moving on to the presentation and discussion items, I'd like to welcome Michelle Watson, who is with us tonight to share information on the 211 service. Michelle, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's very nice to be with you here this evening. I'm going to attempt to, what happened there? Attempt to present. And so just so that I understand, there are some people who are not going to be able to see what I present. Is that the case?
Yes, Ray is on the phone.
Yeah, people are on the phone. Okay, so I will describe as best I can. If people need more description because they're not viewing the slides, that's fine. Just perhaps Sarah, if you're still there, you can just keep me apprised of anything when I need to stop. So let me share my screen.
Yes, I'll watch for anything.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so here we are. We're going to talk tonight. I want to tell you about 211 in Durham region. And that means we're going to spend a little time to have an overview of what 211 is. We'll talk about the N11 numbering system. We'll talk a little bit about service navigation, inquiry services, 211 data, 211 central COVID response. We'll, if we can, we'll look to spend a little time to look at the database, the public side of the database that you can search yourselves at durham.211central.ca. We're also going to talk for a little bit about mental health resources in Durham region. And hopefully you'll understand and want to be a 211 champion once you've heard all that I have to say. So hopefully after our session tonight, you'll understand what 211 services are and that you will be happy to become a 211 champion. So the first thing I want to talk about is the N11 numbering system. If we were in person, we might do this a little differently and have a bit of a game with it, but just basically I wanted to run through all the digits that are out there, all the numbers that are out there, and what phone services are available attached to them. So everybody is aware of 911 for emergency services, fire, ambulance, and police. 811 in 9 out of 10 provinces is a non-urgent healthcare line. In Ontario, we do not have 811, but we do have Telehealth Ontario, which is 1-866-797-0000, which is a little bit more tricky to keep track of, I think, than the 3-digit number. However, 711 is the message relay service for the deaf. 611, telephone repair and customer service. I'm sure all of us have been on that line, maybe more times than we'd care to enjoy. 511 is the Ontario Ministry of Transportation Road and Highway information. 411 is directory assistance. It also has been around and is known for many years. It is a call that you have to pay for unless you have a disability or a need and you're registered with them, where you can get their services without a payment. 311 in some areas is a municipal government services line. So in Toronto and Peel region, they do have a 311 service. In Durham region, both the City of Pickering has their customer care center and the City of Oshawa has Service Oshawa. And for all the other municipalities in Durham region, it would be a call to the town of Whitby, a call to the, the Uxbridge or, whatever it might be. And those people would direct you to the appropriate person or area for the question that you have. And then finally, and not last but not least, we come to 211, which we're going to talk about tonight, which is a information and referral line for social and community services. So, 211 is an easy to remember 3-digit line. It connects people to a complete range of government, health, community, and social services. It's a free call. It's a confidential line, and it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in 150 plus languages. People contact 211 by phone, as I said, 24 hours a day. It's also possible to text and chat and email for connection to programs and services through 211, and I'll tell you more about the difference in hours of the day on that when we get further along in our presentation. People contact 211 for information referral to food banks and meal programs, housing assistance, disability support programs, mental health support, income support, financial assistance, legal assistance. So many things that people can find out and be connected to programs and services through 211. So this is an interesting slide, if you can see it, and if you can't, I'm going to describe it to you. So when someone calls 211, and by the way, anybody in Ontario can call 211. It's a free call for anybody anywhere in Ontario and for anybody in Canada. The 211 service navigator will ask how they can help you or the person who's calling. And once the conversation starts, a needs assessment begins. So the service navigators are trained and certified service navigators who will start the needs assessment. They will find out what that person is in need of. It might be a very simple situation, simple on the face of things. The person would like to know where the food bank is that serves their area. But we know that many people who are asking about food banks have other issues. So conversation would take place. depending on how the person is feeling about talking about some of those other issues. And the service navigator would be able to understand where that person is coming from as far as what services they are eligible for. So if they live in Whitby, that the food banks in Whitby are this, and you wouldn't want to give somebody in Ajax a Whitby food. So all of that information is teased out in the conversation. The service navigators use their active listening. They ask probing questions to come to some understanding of what the person is in need of. And they go to the database to find the information that they need and connect that person by giving them maybe a phone number. Maybe they need a bit more information. They need to know what the hours of operation are. So where exactly this place is located that they've been referred to, whether they need any particular documents to take with them. So giving them a fulsome idea of what it takes to be connected to this service that they are in need of. So once the needs assessment has taken place, perhaps the call would end there once the person understands what information that they've been connected with. Sometimes the service navigators know by just how the conversation has gone, whether the person is very upset, whether they're a bit confused. And if the service navigator deems that they need a little bit more assistance, perhaps they will suggest that the person might like a follow-up call. So if that person says, yes, I would like a follow-up call, 211 service navigator will call them up within 3 to 5 business days, or depending on the situation, if it was a very difficult situation around food, that kind of thing, it would not be within 3 to 5 days, it would be the next day. Would be able to follow up with that person, make sure they made the connection to the agency, see if there's anything else that they can be helped with, and that would be offered to people who are in that situation. Also, some people need a bit more advocacy around the situation, so that's something also that can be offered to a caller. So once the call is ended, then the service navigator would document what has taken place in the call and go on to the next call. I just wanted to tell you that there is no particular time allotment for a 211 call. A 211 call takes as long as it takes. Sometimes it's a 3-minute call, sometimes it's a 33-minute call. So the service navigators take the time that they need with the caller to make sure they explain, sometimes people need explanations around what legal services are, if they were calling about legal services, what that encompasses. So, the conversation takes as long as it needs to take. The inquiries are all tracked for purposes of quality assurance and reporting purposes. So once the call has taken place, as I said, the service navigator would make sure it's recorded. The information about the call has been recorded, not the personal information about the caller, but generally where that caller, the information that is gathered is where that caller is called from. Very often it's helpful to gather that person's postal code to be able to search properly in the database for the most appropriate referral, and what information they were connected with is also taken note of. And we can use that to report out to the community, as I'll show you later on. So I just want to explain a little bit more about 211 data. And for people in the information referral sector, data is the factual information that we collect about programs and services that are in Durham region or in Toronto or wherever we're maintaining that data from. For us here in Durham, there is a broad collection of data that has been maintained for many years. and has recently changed from our program at United Way Durham Region, Information Durham, to being a full part of the 211 collection. So each piece of information about a program or a service is updated annually or as needed. And that also, as I said before, the service navigators are trained and certified by AIRS. So are the data editors that keep track of the data in the database. Just for information, on average, the records have been updated on average 4 times during the COVID pandemic. As you can imagine, as soon as the COVID pandemic started a year ago, practically every piece of information was in our database was wrong because things were closed and services had changed or services had been adapted. So there was a lot of work to do in the database, and the team of editors that we have been working very hard. They continue to work very hard. It's been very challenging to keep up to date all the information around vaccination and COVID testing and all of those kinds of things. So you can imagine that that is information that's been very sought after, and that's the kind of information that we're keeping and maintaining, and so that we can share it with people day in and day out. So the Durham information is used if anybody calls 211 to ask for something in Durham region. But people in Durham region may call about something in Guelph. Maybe some of their family is in Guelph and they need to help them find information. So because we have an integrated data system, information can be searched from anywhere for anybody. And I wanted to just mention that the 211 service, as I said, is available all across Ontario. All of Ontario has an integrated system. And we are part of 211 Central, which includes Peel, York, Toronto, and Durham. So all of that information is available to anybody, you know, calling from here, wanting to find out about there, it's all available. Also, the service navigation team is also working in that way too. So we do have people working in the GTA who work for Find Help Information Services / 211 Central. But if the people in the north are also taking calls and can't take a call and a call comes in, if there's a free service navigator, that call would go directly to them. So people don't have to wait as long for a call to be answered on 211. I just wanted to talk a little bit, as I did say a few things about what happened since last March when everybody's world changed because of the pandemic. Right away, the call volume to 211 went way up, and it was very, very challenging to keep the information up to date, to keep the information going out to people. And right away, some of the biggest needs were food banks, grocery deliveries, warm lines and talk lines for people who were, you know, newly trying to stay at home and feeling very scared and worried about what was going to happen. So those were some of our biggest challenges at the beginning of the pandemic last year. And of course, that, you know, all of those needs meant, as I said, the immediate updating of those records that contained information about food and mental health and income. Yes, we had a lot of calls about CERB and, you know, how people could register and all of those kinds of things. And that has continued as each piece of information or programs changed or were added or were taken away. All of that has continued over the past year. And so, as I've said, you know, how people have calling and the information, the data that we gather about those calls, we've used to report back to the community the evidence that we've gathered about who who is in need? What are they in need of? Are their needs being met? Are their needs not being met? And this information can help drive investment and decision-making in communities. So it's become very important. So last April, the 211 Central decided to report back to the community on a bi-weekly basis with a bi-weekly snapshot, we call it. So using the information that we've gathered, we can show what the top 5 needs were in the community, what the services are, mapping of services, the needs that are out there. And also we have another dashboard that I can show you, which is the Ontario 211 Public Business Intelligence Dashboard, which is a place that anybody can go to who would like to know more about the data. You can search, as I was saying, about how many calls, how many contacts, how many needs were identified, how many needs were not met, or how many needs were met. So we can look at all of that information. So I'm going to attempt, this is where it usually gets a little bit sticky, but I do want to show you, for those who can see, I'm going to, am I still screen sharing?
Yes, yes, you are. Yes.
Somebody must have done an upgrade, because this is usually where it gets sticky, but I'm so glad, because this is our part of the 211 Central portal. And you can see that it does say Durham region there. I'm showing the website where anybody can go to. Perhaps some of you can have a look later, but I want to show you. I want to show you the website and do a couple of searches for you. And I'm on my home computer where I don't have a mouse. And
Through the chair, Michelle, what you may have to do is stop sharing your PowerPoint presentation and then open your browser to the website and then share that screen.
Okay, sorry. All right. Just a second. Now I do have this here. Here. That's better. Okay, does that look like a website?
Sure does.
Okay, good. All right. I knew that was a sticky place. I thought that was way too easy. All right. So here's what it looks like, and I beg your pardon for those who are having to look, and I hope you're not getting seasick. I regret not having a mouse here. All right. So this is why does it keep doing this? Okay. What we can do is okay, so this site is a work in progress, and I need to talk to some of my colleagues about some of the different cities that you see there. I'd like to change that a bit, but basically what you can do is choose a topic, or you can search by a keyword. You can also search by a specific language if you want. You can filter by proximity, and most of these searches are based on proximity. So that's something you want to be aware of, because we share this collection of information with York and Peel and Durham and Toronto. You know, if you set it at 100K, you're going to get a lot of things back from Peel and Toronto, and that might just be too much information if you're wanting to search something in Durham region. So do be aware of that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up a bit. We're going to, you can enter, as it says, a city name, an address, a postal code, or an intersection. So I'll put Ajax in here. And then we're going to go to, we'll search by topic. And we'll go to food. And there are subtopics under food. So community meals, cooking classes and facilities, food access, food banks and referrals, food delivery. So we'll go to food banks and referrals. And we should get a list of what's available in Ajax. Okay, so we've got Salvation Army, Hope Community Services, Southside Worship Center, Christian Life Center. So the food banks that are available, St. Paul's on the Hill. We'll have a look at Southside Worship Center. So I'm clicking on the name of it. And there we go. And you can see that there are 3 tabs along the top. The first tab saying details, and that's where we are right now. It tells you the details about Southside Food Bank. Many of the pieces of information do say call or email first before you come, just because things are changing so quickly in so many agencies. It's just best to make sure that you can come. You might need an appointment, whatever. So do check with the agencies. It tells you what time of day they work, the hours of operation, who's eligible to go to this food bank, how to register, how to apply, whether, all of the details you need to know. If you go to the contact tab, it tells you their phone number, the website, the email of the contact person, their address, and again, their hours of operation. And then if you go to the, most of the pieces of information are like this. They have this type of factual information in them. We go to this tab here, which says map. Get there, we should see a map. Oh, here we go. I was already there. And a pin where the location is. Okay. So all of the, as I said, all of the records of information, or the pieces, the pages of information, whatever you'd like to call them, they are all in that format. So hopefully that's helpful for people to find. I just wanted to show you up here, it says learn about COVID in your area. And here's where you can find the COVID snapshots. Sorry, there we go. This is the page I want. COVID snapshots. And here they are for all the regions. You can look at any, it's all this information is for anybody to look at. You can look at any place you want if you're interested in what's happening in Toronto, what's happening in York. We're going to be a bit Durham centric tonight, and we'll look Durham region, and we'll look at the latest snapshot, which is for February 26th to March 11th. So that was just a couple of weeks ago. And is everybody seeing a blue sheet now up on the screen? Good. And so this is the most recent snapshot, and it shows that for us here in Durham over that 2 week period, the health was the most calls from Durham were about health, with mental health very shortly behind at 16% of contacts. People were also calling about housing assistance, community information, which does include things such as tax clinics and things like that, and then legal and public safety. So those were the top 5 needs in Durham during that 2 week period. There's also a connections area, which says that based on comparison between those 2 weeks this time last year, between 2020 and 2021, our calls, chats, texts, and emails have gone up 118% in Durham, and our web sessions have gone up 108% as well. You can see the service navigators, on average probably take 50 to 60 calls in the time that that their shift is. So they're hearing a lot of things. Some of the things are similar. They're hearing a lot about vaccine rollout and registration, income tax clinics, housing search assistance, crisis intervention, and counseling. So they're hearing those things that people are calling and contacting 211 about. Now, I also wanted to show you how to get to business intelligence. a lot of people do like this dashboard. It gives them a lot of information about what's happening out in our communities. So I hope that if I go there, you will go there too. And so it's a dashboard that takes a moment or two to load up. Are you seeing that, Roseanne? I'm looking at you. Can you see that? Okay, good.
I can see the graph, yes.
Yeah, okay, good, super. So I just wanted to point out, and I'm sorry for the people who don't have visuals right now, but we're looking at a dashboard of the top 5 needs by category, the total needs identified, the needs by geography. So a dashboard of information where we can select and change and order up this information so that we can have a look in the way that we want to have a look. Now, the first thing, I'll go up to the date range. You can alter the date range. I'm going to keep it here just because it's simpler for our brief visit here. So it's set from January 1st to well, I think I do want to change that. It used to, okay, it's for the whole year. We obviously haven't had a whole year yet, so let's not do that. We're going to go to January. We're going to just have a look at January. And it's a little, okay, there we go. It's saying from January 1st to January 31st and 2021. And we're going to go to Durham region. And we could, so all the calls or the needs identified, I should say this page is needs identified, 558 needs identified in the month of January in Durham region. Again, we've got the top 5 along here. For all of January, the highest need was mental health and addictions, which was 73 needs out of that 558. So you can see there's quite a lot of information here. This donut is kind of interesting. It's a colorful donut and it breaks out 100% of the needs into the various sections and sectors that we have, the topics that we have, if you want. Every piece of information in the 211 database has a number attached to it, which is like a Dewey Decimal System in a library. So we can track the referrals that were made based on what that referral is for. And that's how we get this information. So you can drill down to mental health and addictions. If you click on it and you go to this, and you can drill down. So I'm drilling down and I can look at, of those 73, 9 were about counseling. Out of those 73 contacts, 45 were for mental health assessment and treatment. And so you see, you can drill down into the information. It's very interesting when you do that. This is just a quick look, so I won't spend a lot of time here, but if people want more or they want, there is a way that you can get a little online tutorial, which is very helpful, but I just wanted to show it to you. There's also 3 pages here on this, this dashboard. The first page is a contact report, so that would be the actual number of calls or emails or texts or chats, and the age category, the gender, the language that was spoken. And then the third page is the needs identified. So how many people, how many needs were, sorry, that's 2 still. I'm sorry if that went to 3, is unmet needs. So, and what were the reason for those unmet needs? Okay, so there's a lot of information here and we've just really skimmed over the top for sure. But I just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to look at that. So I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to make my way back to my, okay, here we go. So everybody's back on the red 211 page now. with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Super.
Mhm.
Good.
And if you could just say the website for those that are on the phone.
Sure. It's durham.211central.ca. Okay. All right. Now, for some reason, I'm not moving along here. I don't know what's going on. Oh, here we go. Okay, as you can see, from the snapshot and from looking at BI, you can see that mental health is really something that a lot of people are struggling with. And I just wanted to take this few minutes to point out that there are a lot of mental health call lines, warm lines, helplines out there. There's an awareness of the need at all levels of government, and particularly by the agencies that deliver mental health programming. In Durham, we do have mental health services call line. We have Distress Center Durham and Pride line, and the Ontario Shores Crisis line for people who need to speak with someone, right away about how they're feeling, what's happening with them at that moment. I just wanted to point out too, in Toronto, there are some specialized lines for seniors, and which is a very well used line for sure. But that doesn't mean to say that seniors can't be helped in Durham. Of course they can. All those lines that I pointed out to you, they are serving anyone who needs to call, can call. Also, there is specialized crisis lines and supports for racialized residents, Indigenous residents, and African, Caribbean, and Black residents. There's a counseling line through CAFCAN, which is in Toronto, but does serve Durham region residents. For the youth, there is Kids Help Phone, which has been around, of course, for many years. And there's also a Good to Talk line for people who are post-secondary students. And then, of course, there's Connex Ontario, which has a very broad and deep amount of information about programs that serve people with addictions, whether that be alcohol, drugs, or gambling. So there's a lot of resources out there, and just sometimes people don't know that they are out there, and I just wanted to point that out to you. But of course, a call to 211 could certainly help someone who doesn't know what's out there that they can connect with. Many times since January, for sure since January of 2021, the service navigators have had more and more calls around suicide to deal with. So 211 service navigators are trained to assist someone who is in a situation where they are thinking or they have made plans about a suicide. We're not counselors ourselves, but we are trained to handle those calls and to make sure that that person gets referred and transferred to the most appropriate service based on the situation. So it's good to know that there is a Canada Suicide Prevention Service, which is a 24-hour call line where people can talk to someone about their situation, how they're feeling, their crisis. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Some people, after, we've talked all these things, and some people say, but really, what do people call 211 about? So I just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to hear about some of the calls that I have taken. I started with 211 from Information Durham, was asked to come and help on the phone lines when those phone lines were going very crazy in March and April. And subsequently, I'm now doing some follow-up calls with people. So these were follow-up calls that I took in the last couple of months. A single mother with COVID who just found out she had COVID was trying to get to her home and isolate with 3 teenage boys in the house, and she had no food in the house. So she called 211 to ask for a food bank or food delivery for who would help her and get some food to her house. In the meantime, she couldn't locate her wallet, and she didn't want to go out of her bedroom once she got into it because she was trying to isolate from the rest of the family. So she was very upset when she first called. It was all very upsetting to get this the news that she was COVID positive. So I called her the next day and we talked, and she hadn't heard back from the food agency. So I helped her with a warm transfer, and that's when a 211 counselor can put that person that they're talking to on hold, make another call, and then connect the two parties. So I gave her a warm transfer to the food agency, and then tried her later that day, and food had been delivered. So she was feeling so much better. She knew that she could call us if she needed any more assistance like that. And, you know, she was just sort of over those hours, she'd sort of become accustomed to what she had to do. And she was much more able to handle her situation as going forward. So another call was from a man who had been threatened with eviction from his landlord, even though he was paid fully up with his rent. The landlord was harassing his tenant. The tenant felt with he'd installed video cameras. He was being, you know, really difficult to deal with. The initial service navigator suggested the community legal clinic. And when I called back to follow up with this gentleman, he was feeling much better. He did get a hold of the community legal clinic and they agreed to take his case on. So he felt that there was action being taken. So he was feeling much better and much more relaxed about the situation. And then another woman who had previously called 211 for help with activities of daily living. So she needed something like home and community care through the LHIN. When I called back to check in with her and see if she'd managed to make that connection, she was very vague about whether she had made the call. She vaguely remembered calling 211. You know, she was really needing to be handed directly to that person at the LHIN. So we made the call. I made the call for her and gave a warm transfer to the LHIN, made sure she got talking to the woman who was on the call lines at the LHIN intake center. So, you know, just sometimes people just need that extra few minutes to make sure they get connected where they need to be connected. So I hope I mean, there's more we could talk about, but I'm wanting you to get to the rest of your meeting. So, you know, if there's anything more I can tell you about 211, I'm going to give you my email and, sorry. Oh, and so I just wanted to say that I hope you'll feel that 211 is a program that you can tell people about, that they know it's there for them. And if you have any information not correct, when you look at durham.211central.ca, we do encourage people to give us updates about any information that's there. We want to be in touch with people who have information on 211 to make sure we are always having the correct information displaying on our website and being used by our service navigators. I do have postcards and magnets and bookmarks and all sorts of things with 211, and I know touchable things aren't really hip right now, but if anybody needs any of those things as time goes by, I'd be happy to get them to you. And we, you know, if there's anything else I can help, if there's another group of people I could speak to, if there's any meetings that I could attend that could help people understand a bit more about 211, I'd be happy to do that. Here's how people can connect to 211. They can call, as we've said. They can go online, as I've showed to those who are able to see. There's chat, text, and email. The chat and text is available Monday to Friday, and that is from 7 a.m. I just want to make sure I say it right. Yes, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday for chat and text. Email is always available with a 1 business day turnaround. And on the weekends, chat and text is from 9 until 5. So the call lines are open 24 hours a day, as I said. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them. Yes, Seppeline.
Seppeline has a question.
And Ray Smith has a question too.
Thank you, Ray.
Go ahead, Seppaline.
Oh, this is Zeppelin here. Just a quick question.
Mhm.
The crisis line with your navigators, if someone is in really a deep crisis, is there a quick warm transfer to Ontario Shores or something like that?
Yes, of course. If somebody is really in a bad way and they need to speak with someone, that's absolutely what 211 Service Navigator would do. Yes. Mhm.
And
Is
is
that
there still a follow-up? Is there still a follow-up from the navigator, although it was transferred to Ontario Shores?
not so what we want to do is, so if that call goes directly, the service navigator and the caller talk, and that it's determined, through what has been said, that yes, this person needs to talk to someone right now, and that's what they're really calling for, then once we've made that warm transfer, we would not follow up with that person necessarily. It would be more that if someone, I actually did a follow-up today where the person the service navigator wanted to make a warm transfer with the person, but when they did, that line was busy and the service navigator couldn't get through on the line with the caller. So I followed up today to make sure that person had spoken to someone, and in the end I made it a warm transfer with her as well today, and we did get through. So she spoke with someone.
Okay, so all real crises are handed over right away, and there is no I got concerned when you said there was no one on the other side of the line, and I thought, whoa, yeah,
It happens. It happens. Unfortunately, these services are so busy right now with people wanting to talk, and it's not a good feeling, let me tell you, when you're trying to get that person through. But I've taken calls where I've said, okay, well, let's you and I continue talking for a few minutes, and we'll try again in 5 minutes. And then in 5 minutes it was still busy, and it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. So we do our very best to connect people, but we can't make that service have more people on their line to take the call. So make sure that person has the number. Say, if you would like to try yourself in a little while when it's not busy, or you can call back to me. We're trying our best to make sure people get connected.
One more question. Do you sometimes use 911 when it gets in such a complicated way?
If the person calling us was in need of fire, ambulance, police, or depending on what kind of crisis they were, maybe around suicide, that might be a place where we would call. We definitely have a way to connect people to 911 if that's what they need. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Seppaline. And Ray?
Hi, Michelle. Ray Smith speaking. We've kind of virtually met before. You've presented to the Age Friendly Committee maybe a little bit more than a month ago. Very, very impressed with your presentation, and still impressed. But my concern is 211 is the best kept secret. I'm hoping that 211 can be promoted more, especially in Ajax and Durham. Hopefully you'll be working with us more, and getting your services promoted more, because it's well needed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, yes, I'm doing my best to make sure people can hear about 211, coming to talk to groups like this, to make sure people understand what the service is and what we help connect people to. And recently there was a 211 postcard that went out in the mail. I don't know if any of you found that in your mailbox, to show people that they can call 211. We're connecting with the community health center that's out in the community, helping people with testing and vaccination. So we're doing our best and talking as to many people as we can. There's not, I know we've had quite a bit of good press, if you would say, on social media. There's lots of activity that way, but a lot of people don't look at social media all the time. So we're doing our best to make sure the word gets out there, and you can help if you are in a situation where you could let someone know about this. That would be helpful too. So spread by word of mouth is always a good way too.
Word of mouth is fantastic. Just have a very quick question on your website because I did not see it. I'm just, I know you was going there and here and there, but I was just a bit worried about accessibility. And the website has it, I couldn't see your website, and I'm sure. How easy is it to navigate? That's what was my question.
Well, I think it's not too bad. It depends on whether you're fairly comfortable, making choices when you're seeing things on the internet, when you're seeing things on a website. It does have a lot of big icons. So, if you were looking for food, when I clicked on food, it looked like a loaf of bread. So it should, there are ways to get groups of pieces of information that should be fairly easy to connect with. And then if you wanted to ask for a specific thing, like adult day programs or something, you can do that as well. So it should be pretty easy. If we need to do a session where it's just about the website, we could do that. That is certainly something I'd be willing to do if people want that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Welcome.
Julia Stevenson. Sorry, Roseanne.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was going through and looking for your hand. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Julia Stevenson. Just two comments, actually. One, I have recently been seeing the ads on TV, which I had no idea what it was, other than what the commercial said. And from the commercial, I kind of got the impression that maybe it was just for Toronto. So I didn't realize it was province-wide. So
I didn't know there were ads on TV, Julia. You're ahead of me. Where are you seeing ads? Which channel are you watching?
Well, I've seen them on CTV Toronto. That's predominantly where I've seen them. Mm-hmm. It's an orange ad that talks about, phone rings 211, can I help you? And it blurbs a little bit about, do you need this or that or the other thing? Mm-hmm. But I obviously was under the misconception that it was just for Toronto. So I don't know if maybe you want to take that back to the powers that be and just make a comment.
Okay, sure, I will.
Second comment is sort of hinging on what Ray was saying. So I'm a visually impaired user as well. And as you were going through your website, do you have a button or anywhere on the website where you can increase your font size? Like the user can increase their font size?
I don't know, Julia, and I will find out for you.
Because a lot of that print was extremely small. And this, I guess the second question, a lot of that print was extremely small. So it would be great if there was an opportunity for you to do something like having that button where, on a lot of websites they have, you can increase it to so much. Second comment was, it would be great if you had an option for color contrasting. This is white on black, and a lot of visually impaired users would use like black on white, for instance.
Yeah.
And then the third comment was, oh my word, I'm forgetting it. Do you know if it's compatible with the most common screen readers and screen magnification software?
I'm guessing questions.
I'm guessing screen magnification it would be, because most sites are, but I'm just wondering if it's compatible with screen reading software.
Yes.
There's a couple of there's two predominant ones for visually impaired users anyway, so I'm just curious about that.
Okay, those are all good questions, and I will find out the answers for you. So can you tell me the names of the two screen reading software?
The one is called JAWS, JAWS, JAWS.
sounds ominous.
And
Okay.
the other is Zoom text. So it's all one word and it's Z0000 ZOOMTXT. It's all one word.
Okay. I will find out for you, Julia, and I'll get back to you through through Sarah.
That would be great. And I think, I'm hoping I'm not out of line for saying this on Ray's behalf as well, but you know, if either he or I can help and assist in any way with helping support, you know, visual accessibility for the website, I know I would be more than happy to help, and I'm sure he would too.
Okay.
Sorry, Ray, if I'm speaking for you.
Okay, well, that's super. Thank you very much. And I will find out about all of those things and get back to you through Sarah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julia. And just to iterate, just on your website, I see on the screen here, for those who can't see the screen. See, I do see funded by the Government of Canada. I see the Toronto logo. I see the Ontario logo. I see the 211 Ontario logo. And then I see United Way Durham region, but I can see how it could have been seen as something just for the city of Toronto in this way. If, say, for example, United Way's logo was there, but it did not say Durham region, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure that I can change any of that, but yes, I understand what you're saying. But no, truly 211 is available to everyone in Ontario. There are 6 different 211 regions, and as I said, we're 211 Central, but we're all working together to integrate the system so people can access it as easily as possible, both the data and the calls.
Are there any more questions from any of our committee members? I will just ask one brief one. So I know the LIN has the central healthline.ca, which is similarly structured in that they have links to all of the community resources in the Durham region, or at least in the Central East LIN, which is covers most of the Durham region into Northumberland. And I see that you have a connection with the LIN. Is there anything significantly different between that service and your service, if you know, or?
Well, you know, the healthline.ca has been around for quite a few years. We do share data with them. And we are in the, you know, people working in the information referral sector have all been working to share data wherever they can. They are doing, their focus initially was more health-based information, and they've sort of branched out, and we are providing some of the same information that they are. And it's just looks a little different, but it's very much their information is tied also to what is happening in these various LIN areas. I believe there's 14 around the province. So they're very attached to some of the projects that are happening in those LINs and supporting it with their data. But we do work with them, and we do, you know, they are our we call it INR, information referral colleagues, yes.
Thank you for that. That's good to know. And one more call out for any additional questions.
It's Lisa here, Chair. Yes, please. Thank you.
Lisa.
Michelle, thank you for that excellent presentation. It's so informative, and what a great service that's being provided. I just was taking a look at the Town of Ajax website when we were talking about, you know, how do we encourage users, or how do we help spread the word about this? So maybe my question is more for Sarah, but I noticed that there is a page under the COVID-19 information for mental health and well-being that lists some Ontario resources, but 211 is not there. So I'm wondering if maybe there's a way that we can add that.
Through the chair, we can certainly share this information with corporate communications and look to have a link added within that particular section or even elsewhere on the site as well.
Okay, I think that would be great. Thank you. And that drill down dashboard, because I had some questions about the type of information and was it by region or was it just, just across the province? But I see you can get very, very, very specific details. So I think that's really useful information. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
That's it for me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay.
Maybe I should probably stop presenting now so that you can get there.
That's wonderful. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me as a guest. I'm sorry I've taken up quite a bit of your time, but I do appreciate the opportunity, and I will get back to Julia through you with those questions about visual accessibility. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that presentation, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And continuing on with our agenda, we will move on to item 4.2, the subcommittee updates. So last month, Sarah solicited feedback and interest from members on the committee for participation, from members on subcommittee participation, and I understand some have already met. So I'll ask the subcommittees if they have any updates to share with the committee as a whole. So we will begin with the site plan subcommittee.
So through the chair, we have several members that sit on this committee, some of which were unfortunately not able to attend our subcommittee meeting, but I did have the opportunity to meet with Barb and Councillor Bauer. Councillor Bauer, not to put you on the spot, but I didn't know if you had any information you wanted to share about sitting in on your first site plan review committee meeting, and then perhaps I can fill in any blanks.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. It's Lisa. Yeah, that was really interesting. I had never really, I've seen some site plans before as part of being on council, but I've never really drilled down that in depth, especially regarding some of the accessibility markers. So I really appreciated Sarah's report that sort of touched on all of those things, like, a common place for a service animal to go to the washroom if they had to, like things like that, where I hadn't even thought of that, quite honestly. So it was very interesting and to sort of go through. We looked at the long-term care facility at the hospital, step by step, looking at all of the barriers or obstacles that we needed to make sure were addressed, and it was really, really interesting. I enjoyed it very much. I don't know what else to say. Thanks.
No, thank you. Thank you for your participation. It can be quite a daunting task to review site plans, but it's great to have a team interested in diving a little bit deeper and identifying those accessibility concerns. So this past month, we reviewed two, one of which, as Councillor Bauer mentioned, was the new long-term care facility being proposed at the Lake Ridge Hospital, as well as a multi-story residential building on Old Harwood Road, which will predominantly be providing residence to seniors. So we were looking through both of those applications through that accessibility lens, pedestrian connectivity, any barrier-free paths of travel, accessible parking, all of the elements of that nature in the exterior public space of those particular locations.
Great, thank you to the site plan subcommittee. And next we have the National Access Awareness Week subcommittee. Is that the National Accessibility Awareness Week? And we have either Ray or Julia. Could you speak to?
Sorry, I just forgot I needed to unmute myself. So yes, we have met twice now, and they've been very productive meetings, Sarah and Ray and I. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a summary of our meetings, and then we're looking to the committee for some feedback as well, for your thoughts. And I'm trying to just see if you can actually see my head because my hair is and my skin is so light. Am I being blocked out by the light I've sort of tried to lighten myself up with?
Very clearly.
Okay, good. Sorry, I can't tell, but I was for me it looks like I'm kind of just morphing into my wall. Anyways, okay, good. Thank you. Good to know. So our last meeting was just yesterday, and we okay, I thought, did somebody say? Okay, good. Okay, so we are looking at exploring a number of avenues for National Access Awareness Week. Some we're thinking of doing for this year, and some we're thinking of possibly holding for future dates, just because of logistics and timing and everything, and of course COVID. So we've been looking at things like joining with other organizations in Ajax to use help with their events to promote National Access Week. So for instance, Tuesday, June 1st, we may have a possible opportunity to participate in the Senior Center Without Walls, exploring our town and the trail system. So we are looking into the possibility of doing that. Wednesday, June 2nd is Easter Seals Red Shirt Day, which we have participated in the past. So we're looking at possibly doing an online social media promotion and wearing red to support the Canadians living with a disability. We're also exploring the opportunity to host an online accessibility trivia night or round as part of QuizWiz Recreational Family Trivia Nights. And that's going to be confirmed as well, but the timing is usually about 6:30 to 8 p.m. I believe it's on a Wednesday night, Sarah. Okay. So we're looking at also doing something that we're terming right now creatability. So expressing what accessibility means to you. So for instance, last September, we did a coloring contest for Guide Dog Awareness Month, and we provided a coloring sheet for people to color and send back in, and we had prizes associated with that. So instead of actually providing people with an actual sheet to color, or kids, we're looking at possibly doing a coloring and art contest for all ages. So what we would do would be provide a sheet with some concepts of accessibility. So what it means, some terms for reference, perhaps some explanations, and then asking participants to create an artistic rendering of what accessibility means to them. So it could be a drawing, it could be a collage, it could be a painting, a poem, photography, anything artistic or creative that they could come up with to express what they feel accessibility means to them. And again, we would be looking at providing some prizes for some things that were picked in terms of that. We're looking at doing some social media and news articles, so highlighting Canadians who have made positive contributions to accessibility and inclusion. And these are things such as people such as Rick Hansen. So he's an athlete, an activist with the Rick Hansen Foundation. David Onley, the former Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, who's also a journalist. Mayan Ziv, who's the founder of Access Now. Tracy Schmidt, we're all familiar with her, I think. Athlete and a motivational speaker. Margaret Trudeau, mental health advocate and author. David Lepofsky, who's a disability advocate lawyer. Sarah Jarma, who does the Disability Justice Network of Ontario. Luke Anderson, who's the founder of Stopgap. Rich Padulo, founder of Treat Accessibility. Grace Morris and Alex Capuccini, Special Olympic speed skaters and Ajax residents. Other national, sorry, my screen's telling me I might have something wrong with my internet connection. Anyways, as long as you can still see and hear me, that's all that matters. So other National Accessibility Week opportunities we're exploring, looking at possibly joining to do an age-friendly AJAX steering committee meeting. So presenting to them, asking council to do a proclamation on Tuesday, May the 17th at 7 p.m. We're looking at possible business community engagement. And sorry, I forgot one under the social media individuals. We are looking also at, I can't remember her name, Sarah, Cup of Tea. Do you remember the name of the founder of Cup of Tea?
Yes, she's the founder of she's a GTA resident. I don't have it handy with me now, but we can follow up.
Okay, that's okay. So we're looking at, there's a wonderful woman who, she was an athlete and training, and due to an accident became a quadriplegic. And she has founded this organization called Cup of Tea, where they sell high-end tea products. They also are engaged with disability awareness and engagement. And so she is a community activist, business entrepreneur. And so we're also looking at the possibility of doing some interviews with some of these people. So her perhaps, we're trying to get a hold of someone from the Rick Hansen Foundation. We haven't had any luck at getting them to get back to us yet, but to possibly do an interview with one of them, and some a few other things we're exploring there. And then some additional ideas to be explored outside of National Accessibility Week. There's the Unmasking Brain Injury exhibit, video and exhibition, doing a film screening and post-film discussion, a virtual panel discussion about accessibility, allyship, and how to foster positive change at a community level. Doing, we have done in the past an accessibility fair in conjunction with the library, and this would be the year we would normally do that, as we've gone to an every 2-year format. Obviously, that's not a possibility due to COVID, so we would be looking at possibly exploring a virtual accessibility fair and what that could look like, and the feasibility of that. And then doing some work around accessibility and know your rights, which is a communication that has come out from the CNIB. So looking at doing something around that as well. What we're obviously looking to see what the committee thinks of those ideas so far. We're looking for your suggestions as to things you think we might possibly be able, to put forward. And we're also looking for your suggestions as to individuals, so inspirational individuals like the ones I listed, that we could get in contact with and see if we could do an article or an interview or some kind of communication with them that we could publish for National Accessibility Week. And I think that's it. Sorry, I know that's a lot, but I think that's it.
No, that's a wonderful detailed update. Yes, you've done a lot of work. Wonderful. Well, thank you for that update. And onto the communications subcommittee. That is myself and Kaylee at the moment. And we have not yet met. We are in the process of planning a date to have our first meeting. So we don't have anything to report at the moment. And just a reminder to all members, if they're interested in taking part in a subcommittee, to please let Sarah know.
Can I just add one more thing, Madam Chair?
Oh, yes. Sure.
So if anyone has any thoughts or ideas for the National Accessibility Committee regarding the things I just mentioned, could you please direct them to Sarah? And I'm sure she will bring them to our next meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Julia.
Kaylee speaking.
Yes.
That's okay. I just wanted to say those are some great ideas that you guys have come up with. And I have a question about the Red Shirt Day, June 2nd. What were you thinking of doing for that? Like pictures, like photos like we did before, or something like a video?
Great question, Kaylee. At this point, we're not 100% sure. It's just an idea we've started to explore right now. Obviously, the promotion would be to wear red. But again, we're looking for your feedback on all the areas I just mentioned and we're looking at. So if you have any thoughts as to what we could do, that would be fantastic to let us know.
Okay, great. And I like the idea of the art contest for all ages.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kaylee. Actually, I should open it up if anyone else has any comments or questions for clarity from any of the subcommittee members. Seppaline, yes? You're on mute, Seppaline.
Everything now is virtual. Is it a possibility of getting together accessibility committees around the province? That's not, around, even if as far as the province, to sort of discuss their work on the accessibility for Accessibility Week, to have a forum.
That's a great idea, Seppaline, and it's something we will absolutely look into and see the feasibility of doing it, whether it would be for this year or next year. We can absolutely take a look at that and see what the possibility of is. We'll explore it, absolutely.
Great, thank you. Oh, Kaylee, did you have no? Any other questions? Or oh, sorry.
Is it okay if I speak, Madam Chair? Sarah speaking. Just really quickly, we had another suggestion that we tossed around at our subcommittee meeting to revamp our, in my opinion, Ajax hub page for community engagement. We always often sort of come to a bit of a struggle in our year when it comes upon us that we're looking for nominations for the Durham Regional Accessibility Award or the Ajax Community Award for Accessibility. So we thought that National Accessibility Week might be a great opportunity to engage feedback from the Ajax community on who deserves an accessibility A+ or who is an accessibility all-star within the community. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something quite in depth, but if you know an individual within the community or a business that is doing something to improve accessibility or break down barriers, we thought it might be a way to share those stories. And then later in the year, that would provide some information for the committee to consider when we're going through that nomination process. So a great way to share the good news stories that are happening within the community in a collective space, and hopefully encourage others to take leadership for improving accessibility and breaking barriers within our community.
Great. Yes, the time slips by us very quickly. Great. Okay. With no other questions, we will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is correspondence. I do not have any correspondence at this time. And moving on to our update from council. So Councillor Bauer, do you have anything to share with the committee at this time?
Thank you, Chair. It's Lisa. I guess while council is busy for sure, as always, as the weather, something that's coming up or new is as the weather is improving and people are back outside, there's a new Ajax waterfront management strategy and enforcement program coming up. So over the last year, most people have been at home, so there's been an increase in visitors to the waterfront, which has caused, issues regarding parking and garbage and just things like that. So staff has really had to take a look at how do we, what do we do here to make it a little, make it better for everybody. So there is a new waterfront strategy that they're planning to implement this year, and there will be an information session, a virtual open house on April 20th. The director of operations and other town staff will be going through what that strategy will entail. So there are going to be new things such as they're looking at making some streets permanent no parking. They're going to be looking at different methods for collecting the garbage. There will be more staff down there. So all different ideas. And there's no plan, firm plan yet, but Mayor Collier and I have been working on additional bus service from Durham Transit that will provide, it's an extension of an existing route. And this is to sort of alleviate people having to drive down to the lakes, where they will have 2 different bus routes that will take passengers down to the bottom where Paradise Park is, and also down to Veterans Point, down by Rotary Park, down by the lake. So it's just an effort to try and alleviate some of the traffic, and also to make it a little more accessible for people who don't drive or who are coming from, outside of Ajax, that can get here by the go and then hop on a bus that will take them. So that's new. We don't have the actual firm plan yet, but we just got the approval from Durham Transit to get that implemented as a pilot for this summer season. Speaking of transportation, actually, I was at a meeting last week with the Durham District School Board trustees, and the topic of Metrolinx came up, and Trustee Edwards made a comment that she has some real concerns about accessible bus service for the users of Metrolinx. And so I mentioned that I had just joined this committee. So I didn't know if you guys have already gone through a process with or presentation with Metrolinx or been able to provide comments. I was hoping to ask for some direction tonight so that I can take back some info for the trustee.
So Sarah, I'll let you speak on that. I know we have had a presentation on that rapid transit last year.
Yes, through the chair. Lisa, do you know if it was in specific relation to the GO buses itself, or was it the bus rapid transit project?
No, I'm not sure, but her comments were more along the lines of losing some of the specific service. So instead of, I guess some passengers get special pickup, but
Okay.
now they're not being provided that. And Metrolinx is saying, well, no, we've made it easier for everyone. And the trustee says, well, no, what you've done is now standardized a service to try and make it one service for all, when that's not how it works for everyone.
Right. So we haven't had yet a presentation from Metrolinx on their service in general. You have regular sessions with DRT. So if it was specific to Metrolinx within the capacity of this group, we're always welcome to hearing from them, but we have limited sort of engagement, being that they're sort of the provincial body versus DRT, which is a regional entity. But perhaps there's some conversation that I can reach out to DRT in terms of, because I know for a lot of the school runs, there's a connection between DRT services and Metrolinx, especially for a lot of the post-secondary locations.
Okay.
So perhaps we can have some conversations and investigate a little bit further exactly where this might be occurring and whether or not it's individuals that might currently be receiving specialized or integrated service through either transit operator that maybe is being transferred to the more conventional service. We can definitely take this offline and look into it in more detail.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And that's it for my update, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. That was a great update on the initiatives at the town of Ajax. And our next item on the agenda are the external committee updates. And so Ray, I invite to speak on the Age-Friendly Ajax Steering Committee.
Okay, it'll be short and sweet. I was going to try to get you some minutes from our previous meeting, but they haven't come out yet. But once they do, I'll certainly, well, Sarah sits on the committee as well, so we can get them to you, because all our meetings are all, you know, the topics a lot of times is accessibility for, you know, for seniors and for people who want to be seniors, and we're all going to be there. But a few items that I would like to bring to our attention. As we know, the vaccine clinics are now open in Pickering, just open in Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa. In our last meeting, of course, you know, we can make appointments 75 years and up, so which is great, or if you're a caregiver or you have special needs, etc. We did have in our last meeting, we did have a discussion on accommodation and accessibility in all these clinics. And I personally, I went to the Oshawa clinic, and I was amazed. They did a fantastic bang up job, and that is on the top of the list of items that the Ajax Friendly Committee will be bringing to the organizers, the healthcare people from Durham. So we are up and running. I just had a email from Laura Ray, the coordinator from the Ajax Friendly Committee, regarding transportation to vaccine clinics. And it's just fresh off the press, I guess. DRT is going to be organizing the on-demand bus services to each vaccine clinic, so which is good news for people with disabilities and people who cannot get to the clinics. So that's good for everybody. The Age Friendly Committee has been now appointed to the global Ajax Friendly network, so we can look at best practices throughout the world of age friendly initiatives. So that's extremely good news for Ajax. Last but not least, there's we are organizing an age friendly review panel. I think that's on the list of one of the next items. It's specifically from people who want to audit of what the committee is doing, and we are definitely looking into the accessibility committee as well. We want participation from our committee. So if you're interested, there's a application form online, and the application cutoff date is April 9th. So if you're interested, please, if you have any questions for me or Sarah about, you know, what it's like to be on the committee and also how to get involved in overseeing the committee, that's a great way to be involved in the review panel. So that's it for me for now, but once I get the minutes, we will send them to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ray, for that update. It's wonderful to see the accessibility within that age-friendly population for the vaccinations, especially. If I could just clarify, you mentioned that they are offering vaccines to people with disabilities. For this phase one...
I said transportation for people with disabilities.
Oh, transportation. Oh,
sorry.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Because I know that vaccination for people with disabilities are in the phase 2, which will begin in mid-April. So they have, we're waiting on that coming in, on the vaccines coming into the Durham region. Great. And I will speak to the Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee. So we had our quarterly meeting yesterday, and similar to the meeting that we had later last year by Rapid Transit. They had the presentation on the Rapid Transit from the downtown Oshawa corridor to Scarborough Centre, and they had a few more details than we were provided, with 49 proposed stops, and they are taking information still on accessible design principles for that, as well as crime prevention through environmental design. And then we did have a presentation by Andrew McIntosh, which is the project manager overseeing the accessibility improvements to the Durham region headquarters at Rossland and Garden Street. And one of particular interest is the sinkhole in the accessible parking that's there. So that's something they're going to correct very soon. And the curb, the accessible aspect of driving in is just not easy. So they're working on fixing that as well. And Judy Christensen had presented a summary of the survey that we all participated in, or we were all invited to participate in, on barriers to accessing regional services. And that was quite an intense survey, and I'm sure that that will be published online as well. Well, that is all that I have for the Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee. And our next item on the agenda is other business. There are a few reminders and for engagement opportunities, so I'll let Sarah speak to them.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I believe I've circulated a lot of this information by email, but there are a few dates coming up. So just a reminder here tonight, this evening, if you haven't heard already, the Ajax Public Library is exploring the opportunity to develop a makerspace. If you're not familiar with what a makerspace is, it can be a multitude of things, but it's a multi-purpose space where people can come and design, create, meet and collaborate, and access a variety of tools and resources and materials. So they're currently in a consultation phase. They're far from the design phase as of yet, but for the consultation in terms of the concept of a makerspace, if you're interested in providing feedback, there is an online survey available, and the link is within the agenda package and the emails that I have sent out. So looking for feedback there. Second on the list, as Ray mentioned, we are looking for at least one representative from our AAC to sit on the age-friendly review panel. So if you are interested in sort of having that oversight role for the age-friendly community strategy, that might be an opportunity of interest to you. And there is the application available online now. And then thirdly, I did send out some materials before, but there wasn't a lot available online in terms of direct registration information. So hopefully there is additional information posted to date. But Durham Region Transit is hosting a series of public information centers on updates and gaining feedback for their customer service policies, as well as their passenger equity statement. So if there is interest in providing feedback in that capacity, I know we've had representatives last year attend. They're now engaging in a more public scope of consultation, but your feedback is definitely welcome. So there are several different public information centers being held virtually, and you can, if you can't attend those live, there are also opportunities to provide your feedback online.
Wonderful. And are there any questions for Sarah? Oh, Seppaline, yes. Oh, you're on mute, Seppaline. Oh, Seppaline, you're on mute. Yes.
I always do not want to make any noise, so I put myself on mute. Anyway, complete the Makerspace community survey. I know there isn't much time between now and Friday, but the members of the board of the Ajax Library, we all have appointment, a 1 hour appointment with one of the consultants for the Makerspace to talk about what we think that space should be. And as Sarah mentioned, it's a multi-space, really. It's really good for artistry, any type of artistry. So if you have any ideas that I should be taken to this interview on Friday, you can send it to Sarah and Sarah can send it to me. I know it's a short time between, but I would love to have some ideas of what you think the makerspace should be like. And it doesn't have to be anything that just think about something artistry is a makerspace, it's to do whatever. think about it. So if it falls within the realm of what Makerspace is doing, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's fine also. And again, and the other thing is the age-friendly review panel. Now, Sarah, I know you're asking for a member from our ACC. I received a letter from the town because, you know, I volunteer with the town of Ajax also. And from the town of Ajax, they had sent me to apply to be on this committee, which, as Ray mentioned, the application completes on April the 9th. So if someone, I would love to be on that committee either way. So if someone from our committee tonight wants to be in that committee, I was free up the space and apply through the town of Ajax. And if someone doesn't want to be on the committee from here, then I would definitely like to represent ACC on the age-friendly panel.
If I may add, I would encourage you to apply regardless, Sapline. From what I understand, there is a fulsome recruitment and review process for all applicants. So we're not specifically looking to appoint somebody from our committee, but we're encouraging anyone interested from our committee to put that application forward.
Okay,
because
great.
if space allows, maybe more than one interested party from this group might be able to take part. So don't feel obligated to hold back. It doesn't matter under which umbrella you apply. The important thing is if you're interested, please do so apply.
I will forge right ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Wonderful. Well, that's great, Sapline, that you've expressed an interest, and thank you for clarifying that, Sarah. And I wonder if there's any other business to share. I invite anyone to indicate if they have any other business to share.
Madam Chair, I can just toss out for our next month, just to look ahead. We'll be hopefully having the 2020 multi-year accessibility plan status update to present to the group. I also wanted to solicit interest. I had the chance to sit in on a presentation from the Ability Center this morning regarding preliminary results of the ongoing national disability survey that they conducted to monitor effects of COVID-19 on disability and whether or not the group may be interested in some of the findings to date. It is an ongoing study that will carry through towards the end of this year, but they do have some great information available if it's of interest to this group.
Wonderful. And of course, if anyone wants to express their interest, they can contact Sarah. And at this time, we do not have any other items for our meeting. So that does. Oh, Sapline, yes, go ahead.
This is ability issue. It's related to diabetes, but it's ability issues. One of the things that we've been looking at is for people with type 1, there's a lot of people with type 1, you know, really disabled with the disease process, and especially the kids who are transitioning. Once the kids turn 25, they transition to adults. They're no longer on the sick kids. So it's very, for us in Durham, it's really well because we have the best clinic where they can transition to, but across the country, really sometimes it's very, very difficult. And they have problems with, you know, not knowing that they're going low, hypoglycemia. So there has been a push for the government budget in April to get the pump for those people. We're just asking for the people who don't know that they're going low, because, you know, most people with diabetes, especially type 1, most of the time their passes in their sleep because they don't know that they've gone low. So there's been a push, a major push. So myself in the East, I have to get this East and West right. Myself in the East and the regional director of the West, we've been going around to the MPs around the province, speaking to them about this. And just something that came out, PEI went on their own rather than through the federal budget. PEI went out on their own and gave this to all the members of PEI. So that's great. So if if the budget does not pass, we hope that the province will do something about it. So we'll see, but it's all a part of helping people, that issue of trying to able-body them with this type 1 diabetes that they're not aware of when they're going low.
Thank you for sharing that, Seppaline. Yes. I'll do one more call out for any other business. Okay, wonderful. So that concludes our meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021, and will be an electronic meeting. And I will ask the committee, may I have a motion to adjourn? Yes, I see you, Julia, now. Sorry, it takes me a minute to go through.
Julia, motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I second it. Ray
And
Smith.
Ray is seconding it. Wonderful. All in favor? You can make some.
Aye.
In
sound.
favor.
Thank you. And we have adjourned. Thank you.